ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw with our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's gonna make the fucking difference between winning and losing.
Hell, you could say that 10,000 times and it still wouldn't be enough.
It fires me up, man.
I love it. Say it one more time.
Shake and bake!
Does that feel good?
Yeah, it rhymes. They're both verbs.
It's awesome.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the latest, greatest episode of the Shaving Points podcast. You can find us on Twitter at shaving_points, as in PTS_pod. My name is Quentin Crisco. You can find me on Twitter at ButtKissStats. I'm joined here, as always, by my co-host, Jayden May. How you doing today, Jay?
Doing fantastic. My name is Jay May. You can find me on Twitter at JMay56. Make sure to follow our Instagram, follow our Facebook, all the social medias, Twitter, YouTube, Shaving Points Podcast. Give us a like, give us a follow. Subscribe to our content. Let us know what you think. Putting out picks daily for everybody. College basketball model has been red hot lately, on fire, winning all the money in college basketball. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It is. It's a beautiful time of year. Coming up on March. Outstanding month.
Yes, March Madness. Some of the most fun, exciting event of the year, and we got our first preview on what the bracket makers are thinking heading in to March, just a couple of weeks away, about to go into conference tournament time. And they dropped their first 16 on Saturday. Granted, a lot of these teams have won and lost since then, so things are getting shaken up a little bit even since this is coming out. But yeah, these top four seeds in each region are looking pretty spicy. So Auburn is the number 2 seed in the same region as Purdue and Texas Tech and UCLA, who UCLA went to the final national championship, Final Four last year. Texas Tech was in the national championship a couple years ago. Purdue's always tough. That's going to be a hell of a bracket. Granted, Texas Tech, by all accounts, is most likely going to end up being the 2 seed. And if we end up in that South region playing in San Antonio and Fort Worth, that crowd is going to be rowdy.
Absolutely.
Straight to the Final Four, baby. Texas Tech, dominant win over Texas at the Irwin Center over the weekend. Big game for them. Kansas is looking good. Kentucky's looking good. Villanova, heartbreaking loss yesterday to UConn. Had them in my parlay that we give out daily. We give the Razor's Edge parlay and the Cupcake parlay. Razor's Edge parlay missed by Villanova, who had a 4-point lead with 8 seconds left and somehow decided they wanted to blow it. But yeah, it's going to be a good tournament this year. It's going to be a good tournament this year.
So looking at that West region, if you ask Gonzaga, Duke, Illinois, and Texas to go out to the West Coast, we're going to get some upsets.
Yeah, so Gonzaga's right out there in Spokane.
Oh, I was thinking they were East Coast for some reason, but still, Duke, Illinois, and Texas, you're jumping 2 time zones on that for 18-year-old kids. I mean,
Texas hasn't been great on the road, but they are built as a tournament team, like all Chris Beard teams are. But Duke as a 2 seed, you definitely don't want to see. Illinois has been playing out of their minds here lately.
Yeah, it's just weird to me that they would go out west, you know?
Yeah, so a couple of these I think will change. I think Providence will end up jumping, being a better seed than a 4. I could see Villanova dropping out of a 3 seed, getting kicked down to a 4. UCLA might not be a top 4 seed. Like I said, Texas Tech by all accounts, but everybody's thinking they're going to be a 2 seed. If they end up in Arizona's bracket, that's going to be very, very favorable for them. Baylor could sneak their way into like a sneaky 1 seed, depending on what happens with Kansas going down the stretch. I think they have a little bit better shot at it than Texas Tech if another Big 12 team, if the Big 12 gets 2 1 seeds in, just because of their wins, even though Texas Tech beat them twice. But yeah, it's gonna be real interesting come tournament time.
It will. I'm just excited to watch my Red Raiders in it, man.
Yeah, it's probably the best Texas Tech team we've seen pre-tournament ever.
Yeah, I mean, I
Very
don't think it's
possibly.
close. Like, I mean, even when they made the run to the Elite Eight and then to the championship, they didn't have a regular season like this either of those years.
No, and defense is playing lights out.
It never rests.
Number 1 in KenPom right now, and we're about 9 guys deep on our rotations. So, yeah, we have a true big in Bryson Williams who looks
time and
damn near
years
unstoppable right now. And then the other transfers coming through and everything. Texas Tech's going to be a hard out. And yeah, if they make the Final Four, they will make the Final Four. But yeah, they're going to be a lot of people's favorites to win it all if they keep it up playing like they are. And I'm so damn excited.
New Orleans ain't that far from Lubbock.
No, it's not. I guarantee you that place will be
Tech fans are
loaded with black
crazy.
and
They
red.
will pay what it costs.
Yeah, you'll see my ass in New Orleans if I make the Final Four.
Exciting stuff, man.
Yeah, college basketball, one of the most exciting times of the year. Hop on board. Like I said, giving up picks daily on our Twitter, on the website. If you don't watch much college basketball, just take a look at the model, find out what you want to bet on, throw in a game. It's incredible. The college atmospheres are fantastic this time of year, and college basketball is just so much fun. And we all know everybody watches March Madness anyway, but these weeks leading up to it are equally as exciting too. So
yeah,
pull up the model, bet on some games, and enjoy it, folks.
Just a quick note, not to toot my own horn too much here, but just to promote the model a little bit. I put most of my picks. I try to do it daily. I go on and off with how much time I have to actually put them in, but into this website called Tally Site, which is used by a bunch of different people in the industry who just put bets out there. And among the 25 analysts who have put enough picks in for college basketball to qualify this year, the model's picks are currently ranked 8th. So
that's freaking good.
I mean, it's near the top of what you're getting on college basketball. Which is a beast,
they're completely
a
free.
beast to try to handle. But it's doing pretty well against the peers. So go check it out.
And they're free. Yeah,
free.
Check it out. Let us know what you think.
Don't cost a dime.
Yeah, we love the interaction with y'all. Yeah, it's a great time. So yeah, hop aboard the free money train and let's get it.
All right, you want to jump into this poll that you put out there in the Twitter space last week?
Yeah, so we're big NFL fans, as most of you know. So I sent this to Quentin the other night, and it just randomly popped into my brain because Houston was looking, supposedly beat writers around Houston are saying they're looking to trade Watson, Tunsil, and Cooks before the draft. And then who else needs a quarterback, a good wide receiver, and a good tackle that has the capital to maybe make a move for all three? And I texted him and I asked him, if Philly were to offer the 15th pick, 16th pick, 19th pick of this year's draft, Jalen Hurts, and their 2023 next year's first and third round pick for the 3 Houston players, Watson, Tunsil, and Cooks. I said, who do you think wins that trade? He said Philly. I said Philly. We put the poll up on Twitter, and the Texans ran away with it, according to the public,
So
which I was shocked by.
My first thought here when he said it to me was that the Texans wouldn't do that because they get more trading them through all 3 guys separately. But then you responded saying, could they? And like it got me thinking about it because, it was just a first look, first thought without thinking it fully through. And like, say that on a good day, you get 2 firsts for Watson, which I don't really think you can with all the media issues around acquiring that guy right now.
This is specifically talking pre-draft, okay? So
yeah.
Watson's legal allegations are not going to be done pre-draft. They're still going to be lingering on. So maybe they get 2 firsts for Watson, and then Tunsil.
You can get a first for Tunsil, I think, because I think they're going to have
at
to
least
eat some of that money.
Yeah,
to
you get at least a first for Tunsil
on a deal at that point.
But Brandon Cooks is on a 1-year deal going.
Yeah, he's a third. You're not getting more than a third for him. So that's 3 first-round picks and a third. And in this trade, this is maxing out what the Texans could get. Well, I don't think they even care about Jalen Hurts. I think you could take him out of this.
Well, I mean, yeah, they do have the quarterback of the future, the number 1 quarterback of the 2022 draft, in Davis Mills.
Exactly.
But somebody will give him something for it if the Eagles don't trade him before him.
Yeah.
I mean, he's good enough to start games, obviously. We've seen that all year. But, I mean, what better backup quarterback to have if you just want a backup? I mean,
he's an outstanding backup because you don't need a strong game plan around him. You just need a strong understanding of what he can do.
Yeah, he's a great chess piece if you want to make more moves. I didn't think the public would like the Texans so much in this hypothetical scenario, but yeah, I was wrong. But I think Philly wins this trade.
The public loves draft picks because those draft picks could be anything. They could either be Watson, Tunsil,
or Cooks. Yeah, yeah. So if you're looking at this from a Philly point of view, so you're essentially talking about 5 picks, 4 first-round picks, and a third-round pick. And if
you said from a Philly point of view,
yeah.
So like, I just want to throw this in there. From a Philly point of view, you're trading 2 years of first-round picks and a third-round pick for these 3 guys. Essentially.
So if I told Philadelphia fan with these 3 first-rounders next year, next year's first and next year's third, you get 2 busts and you get a top 15 wide receiver, a top 10 quarterback, and a top 5 offensive tackle, would you take it? 100 times out of 100, they say yes. Mm-hmm. And that's what you're getting.
Yeah. Just not on rookie contracts. That's where this trade, I'm not sure the true feasibility of it, of how it would work under the cap for Philly. Yeah. But, I mean, that's not what we're talking here. We're just talking who would win in this hypothetical.
Yeah. And Philly is built to win now. They would pair Brandon Cooks up with a very, very good young receiver.
That O-line is still very talented, but older.
And then you add Laramie Tunsil to it, and they get even better. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was a home run for Philly in this hypothetical.
And they're not even mortgaging their future because they gave up 2 years of firsts. I mean, that's not for what they're getting back, especially a young quarterback and a left tackle who's in his prime.
A left tackle that's in his prime, and it's probably the hardest position to find in the NFL.
Yeah.
So
now Brandon Cooks is one hit away from his brain being scrambled eggs, but
yeah, very much so. He's coming off a monster season though. I mean, he's basically a 1-year rental for Philly. I don't think they would sign him long term, but at the same time, it's a 3rd-round pick.
I mean, if he's available, I can't sit here and say I don't want the Bears to trade the 3rd-round pick for him.
Exactly. Yeah, and especially if you make this trade, you're going all in this year, essentially. So they could take another receiver and maybe the 2nd round, let him play the 3 and the 4 role, and then going forward, you still have everybody else except Cooks. So
Yeah.
I
thought Eagles would win this trade. I mean, it puts them in the Super Bowl conversation instantly, completely assuming that all the Watson stuff goes away, essentially.
Yeah, and I just don't know what Houston's going to be able to get for Watson.
Yeah, neither do I.
I mean, that's the biggest question, because one of the first comments was like, oh, well, Houston wants 4 first-round picks for Watson. And I told him, like, my grandpa used to always say, you can crap in one hand and wish in the other and see which one fills up faster. Like, Houston can want what they want all day, but at the end of the day, he's never going to play for him again. And
it's not even possible for them to get 4 firsts. It's not allowed. They can do 3. That's the max.
No, you can't do more than 3 years. If you have 4 first-round picks in the next 3 years, you can.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I got you.
Yeah, so like Philly could easily offer 4 just for him if they wanted to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. It fills immediate needs for both teams. Texans can immediately start the rebuild in a draft that's super, super talent rich, but not top end talent. So, I mean, I think the meat and potatoes of this draft are mid first round down to mid third round, and that's where the bulk of these picks are coming in. So
there's some people even saying it's going to the late 4th. This is a really deep class.
Very, very deep, just not top heavy. And so let's say you trade the 15th and you pick up an extra second, an extra third. The talent level between the 15th pick and the 47th pick and the 63rd pick probably isn't going to be that much. So, I mean,
at least not relative to most years.
They could play around with these picks and end up having 9 guys in the first 4 rounds, depending on how they played it. So, I mean, it would set Houston perfectly up for what they want to do. They're still a quarterback away, but that doesn't change with or without this trade because Watson's never playing for him again.
Yeah. Sorry, when you said what Houston wants to do, all I could think of was like Lovie Smith isms from when he was a Bears coach. Just hustle to the ball, punch the ball out. That's what they want to do.
Yeah, go get 17 peanuts.
Devin Hester.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just go get the fastest returner we can find. I'm excited for Lovie Smith, though. Good for him.
I wish he got shot someplace that isn't the Houston Texans and the turmoil that front office is in right now. But
I mean, he objectively failed pretty hard in college football and then got another NFL job. So,
well, to be fair, it was Illinois.
Yeah, Cliff Kingsbury effect.
Yeah,
fell upward.
But anyways, let's get into something I tweeted out just a few hours ago about potential cuts in the NFL.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of the first people to actually put together a list here, and where I got this list. Yeah, every ESPN beat writer, like actually I forget who the Bears is now. But it doesn't matter. Every NFL team has an ESPN beat writer in their city, and they put out an ESPN article with links to each team's like off-season preview. And within that off-season preview, every beat writer wrote a few players that they thought were potential cut candidates on their team. Yeah. So as I was reading it, I thought, well, what better place to start a list than all the beat writers who are going to know the team better than I do. You know, I can't look at the Jacksonville cap situation and tell you who's going to be cut, but they can. And I just put this list together real quick. Yeah, just went team by team. So going through this here, there are some names that I really like. But I will say,
as a Cowboys fan, this hurts because I mean Cowboys fans have been hearing the rumors all year about DeMarcus Lawrence, about Amari Cooper, about Lyle Collins. I'm just hoping we can at least trade 1 or 2 of them and get something in return because it's kind of looking inevitable at this point. But, I mean, somebody picking up DeMarcus Lawrence on their defense is a game changer. Amari Cooper, like imagine him with Justin Fields, like one of the best young
I have
quarterbacks. He can run every route on the route tree. He's very disciplined. He's very.
I've always
coachable.
thought of him as
like
a
Amari
faster
Cooper.
Allen Robinson. Like honestly,
Yeah.
like his strengths are similar to Robinson, but he's a little faster.
Like Cooper's one that like I'd hate to lose him, but if it means we get to keep like Gallup and Wilson, if we could keep Gallup and Wilson and lose Cooper, I'm okay with it. If we lose all three, that's very bad.
Yeah,
but
I don't think they will. It'll probably be like one or two. They'll figure out a way to not lose all three, but it's just which ones. That's what you don't know.
Yeah, I think Cooper's all but gone. His cap hit's huge, and we save a lot of money by cutting him. But I think he has enough trade value to where he won't get cut.
Yeah.
He does have a big contract, but I mean, he's still an elite receiver playing at a high level, has some injury issues, but it's nothing too crazy in my opinion. But the DeMarcus Lawrence one for me is the one that really hurts because when he's healthy and he's on the field, he's an absolute game changer. But he hasn't been able to stay healthy
against the run.
Hasn't been able to stay healthy, and just a monster contract. So that's one of those where you have to do it basically, but it still hurts.
Yeah. So a quick note here, down at the bottom of the offensive players here, Sterling Silver is a form of currency. It's supposed to be Sterling Shepard. And then
I like Sterling Shepard a lot, but he can't stay healthy either.
Yeah, no, he can't. And then up near the top right, Cleveland cornerback J.C. Treader. I would love to see J.C. Treader play cornerback.
He probably could. He's a beast. He's
a center by trade. Anyone who knows Excel, you type in a C, it's going to fill in the B if there's already a CB in the list. This was all one list at one point, so I typed in C, hit enter, decided J.C. Treader's a cornerback. So quick little error on there. But speaking of J.C. Treader, if he somehow hits the market, I'm all for the Bears going after him. Oh, the Bears desperately need a center, and J.C. Treader is very good at his job. Shaq Mason was another name that stood out to me. If the Bears don't bring back James Daniels, Shaq Mason is a guy who should be all over. Roger Saffold as well would be a guy I'm interested in. Eric Flowers, I'd have interest. I'd have some concern too because he had one good year, one okay year after multiple not okay years. Lyle Collins is a guy you'd be very excited to bring on, even though he's coming off some issues.
Yeah, Lyle Collins is very good. I think our replacement for him is just as good or better than him, and he's on a monster contract. But if you're getting him on the cheap, he's a very, very good right tackle. We just have depth.
He can play inside too, can he?
Yeah. So I think originally he was supposed to play guard for the Cowboys, but ended up sliding out to tackle and did pretty good there. One thing that I don't really understand in this is for the Bears, like, does cutting Nick Foles really do a whole lot for you?
Nick Foles isn't getting cut.
I didn't think so.
I mean, I think they just put names in there. Like some of these beat writers they need to put at least two names. I'm betting ESPN told them give us two names. And for some reason, they would just put Nick Foles instead of like Tariq Cohen. Because Nick Foles, I mean, if you post 6-1 him, post June 1st, which means that you announce to the league before June 1st that you're going to cut him, but it will happen after June 1st, technically. So you'll be able to split his cap hit over the next 2 years instead of taking it all at once. You'd open up I think it's $6 million in cap space. But unless you do that, which isn't the best thing to do because it's going to eat up more of your cap space next year, which isn't really the goal either. Unless you do that, you're only saving $3 million in cap space. A good backup's going to cost you $2 million. Like a good backup quarterback. What are you saying?
One of the top backups in the league. Yeah,
he's a great guy to have in the room with Justin Fields and film. And I mean, I just don't think there's much point to really cutting him. Let's see a few names.
The name that jumps off to me on this list, and we kind of all know it's coming because it's inevitable. They almost have to. Is Zadarius Smith for the Packers?
Yeah, after the injuries he had last year, and I mean his contract is ridiculous starting this year. I don't think there's any way they can keep him. Their cap situation is so rough.
But he's got his money. If he doesn't demand top tier money, I would love to see him on that Cowboys defensive line.
Yeah, I could see him going back to Baltimore too. That's what these guys do.
Yeah,
these Baltimore guys, they leave for their bag, then they come back to Baltimore.
Yeah, Patriots guys are kind of the same way.
I like Brian Bulaga, or not Brian Bulaga. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't mind Bulaga. He's very injured the last few years. Yeah, Billy Turner is who I meant to say. I like the idea of Billy Turner too as a potential like bargain ad. That's about it on offense. The running backs are kind of mad that this is talking about. Same with the tight ends. Jarvis Landry and Amari Cooper are really at receiver the guys that stand out to me. Landry is owed a lot of money next year, and he didn't produce a ton last year, so that could be interesting.
The whole situation in Cleveland's looking bad.
Mm-hmm.
They got so much offensive talent, and it's like Odell leaves, and then he does very good. So it's like, are they gonna like? So Baker has to. Is he a free agent or is he a fifth-year option?
Fifth-year option. Fifth-year option.
Okay. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Randall Cobb, he's probably going to contemplate retirement. And Kill Harry, I thought for sure he would already. I thought he'd be a free agent. The fact that they have to cut him, is shocking.
It would be anyone bringing him on. I mean, he's got talent, but it would be a reclamation project, and those are kind of rare.
Yeah.
I mean, they can happen. They're just not often.
Sterling Shepard can jump into that slot role somewhere and probably put up monster numbers.
If he can stay healthy, he's worth it. It's just a question if he can stay healthy.
Yeah, he was putting up like 8 catches a game early in the year before he went down. So he could definitely be a guy that comes in somewhere and lights it up, but at the same time, all of his injuries are soft tissue. It's always hamstrings or the quad or something like that. And if those linger, they never go away. So
one thing that could be interesting with that is getting to a new regime and medical staff. It would not be the first time a guy's lingering soft tissue stuff kind of disappears under a new medical staff.
Yeah, that field that he plays on is also cursed.
Yeah. Yeah. Black cats all over it.
Yeah, it isn't a good place.
Then looking at the defensive side, not a ton at cornerback. Joanne Williams could be an interesting reclamation project. James Bradbury's the guy who stands out to me here. I think he's a very good corner, especially with the Bears shifting into like a cover 2 kind of concept.
Has he got paid yet?
Yeah, he got paid by New York.
Okay.
So he's a little older, but he's the kind of guy who could jump into that cover 2 concept real easily, especially, he was with Ron Rivera in Carolina, running some similar concepts there. And he's a guy who I'd be really interested in for the Bears if he can come at a decent deal, which he might be looking to get another bag. Who knows?
Yeah. Danielle Hunter is another one too.
Danielle Hunter, health is a massive question. Like
his
one
is
of the reasons,
issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why he fell in the draft when he was drafted, and like a few years ago, Vikings fans were like talking about how great the Vikings were for finding this guy late. And I mean, he was raw when he came out, and they developed him too. But he had injury. He had some medical red flags that are kind of rearing their ugly head right now. Frank Clark would be really interesting because he is a talented player. He hasn't really lived up to the contract there in KC, but he has made a difference there. And you already touched on DeMarcus Lawrence, Darius Smith. But
I think DeMarcus Lawrence is the top guy on that list, just because what he can do in the run game, and then he's still an elite pass rusher.
Him and Frank Clark would be the two that I'd be really interested in there.
Yeah.
Not
D
necessarily
Ford.
for the Bears, because they don't need a starting edge, but
Yeah, D Ford's getting older.
has D Ford played even 10 games in the last 3 years?
I don't know. I didn't even know he was on San Francisco, honestly.
Yeah, they traded for him. They traded a first round, or maybe it was a second round pick to KC for him, and then
Did they trade that much for him?
KC, yeah, and then KC traded for Frank Clark with like that because they had that back, like that secured back already.
I knew they traded for Frank Clark. For some reason, I was thinking D Ford was just a free agent and then left.
Yeah. So let's
Bobby
just
Wagner.
run through these last. So interior D line, not much. The one surprising name here, Dean Lowry would be a solid pickup for an odd front.
Yeah,
so with Sheldon Rankins, if that ends up happening. But the one that really stands out to me is McTelvin Agum. He was only drafted like 2 years ago. And he's a very talented player. It's just, I guess they might be changing scheme. A Broncos guy responded to me when I tweeted this out, actually saying or he quote tweeted it saying that he would be shocked to see this guy cut, and that it was it would be a real indictment to John Elway's drafting if he was, because he was a third round pick. But the Broncos beat writer seemed to think it was possible. So, I mean, I'd be shocked. I was shocked to see that name there. Then linebackers, AJ Klein would be a guy who'd be interesting for the Bears. Shaq Thompson would be a guy who'd be very interesting for the Bears. Again, back to
Shaq Thompson
experience.
already got cut,
didn't he? Did he?
I think
so. I'm very interested in him for the Bears just because cover 2 experience with Ron Rivera. The scheme might be a little different, but he knows the concepts. And I always thought Shaq Thompson was an underrated player. Anthony Hitchens falls in the same boat. He can play.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Anthony Hitchens back in Dallas. He's got a good relationship with all the coaches over there.
Well, so Matt Eberfluz was Anthony Hitchens' coach in Dallas.
Linebacker coach in Dallas, yeah. I've been hearing Anthony Hitchens linked back to the Cowboys for a while now.
Okay.
That wouldn't surprise me one bit, especially losing Van Der Esch. So that wouldn't surprise me. He'd also fit perfectly in that Eberflus system as well.
Yeah.
So
Kevin Pierre-Louis and Corey Littleton were honestly the linebacker cuts here would be very nice for the Bears because there's a lot of guys so I could see fitting into the system well. Bobby Wagner was a surprising name here. I think that there's some serious issues with the amount of money he's supposed to make next year with contract money that was pushed back.
And Jordan Brooks really is very good.
The reason it's here. And because they have Jordan Brooks, but I would expect them to figure something out with Wagner. He is the Seahawks defense, spiritual. He's the guy there.
But if they do move on from Russ, I feel like Wagner's gone because there's no point keeping him around.
If they do, they're going into a rebuild. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Then the safety names here, Amos and Collins, both two very good safeties who are set to make a lot of money next year. So it'd be interesting to see if they hit the market. Collins hasn't lived up to his contract there in Washington for whatever reason, but he would be an interesting guy to add anywhere because he is a talented player.
A lot of Green Bay on this list.
Yeah, I love it. But Amos is a guy he's just a very good player. He's not going to be flashy, but he'd be interesting for any team who needs a safety who can kind of do it all from coverage down to the box to play downhill and still be able to cover deep. He can kind of do it all, but he's not going to make a ton of home run plays for you either.
And you get Mason Crossbar as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that. Just none of these are set in stone, obviously, but just the rumor mill of who might get cut. So we got this posted to our Twitter. So if you want to look at each name individually,
up in the Chicago Bears Reddit as well.
Okay, yeah. So if you want to look at these names individually, see what's on there, you can check it out on our Reddit.
It's on the Shaving Points Reddit now as well. Thank you, Cupcake.
And then on our Twitter at shaving_PTS_pod. So see a full list of rumored names so you don't have to go through each individual team and see who may or may not get cut.
It's not easy to do or fun. I've tried.
Absolutely. But all right. Well, I think I'm on the Davidson train. Please don't think I'm literally on a train. Shout out Deep Competition 8483. But all right. Well, I think that's going to take us into a break for a quick ad from our sponsor.
Hey, Jayden, you excited?
Excited for what?
March Madness is here. Not everyone can have a perfect bracket, but you can have the perfect set of balls this tournament season with the sponsor of art of today's show, MANSCAPED, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming. Whew. We had some technical difficulties there.
We'll do it live. Head on over to manscaped.com using code Shaving Points. Get 20% off worldwide shipping.
Worldwide.
Go check out the new Lawnmower 4.0. It's absolutely fantastic product. Get your balls nice and clean, shaven, boys. And March Madness coming up. Ain't no better time of the year than to have clean balls than when you're watching all the big games in March. Ain't that right?
Yeah, you can't have a perfect bracket, but you can't have perfect balls with code
that's all you can ask for these
Shaving
days.
Points. Remember that code Shaving Points at manscaped.com.
They got everything you need over there. They got deodorant for your armpits. They got ball deodorant. They got shampoo and conditioner. I'm so excited to get that in. I love to get a nice shampoo on my beard. Feels so good. Now Manscaped's hooking it up everywhere you need it. They got it. Just go on over to manscaped.com using code Shaving Points, 20% off. You're going to love it. You're going to thank us. Support the boys and go get your boys shaved.
100%. Code Shaving Points.
Free shipping worldwide. Wide. All right. Well, we're going to get into some more free agent talk. We did a little bit last week. Last week we just did the potentially highest paid guys in free agency.
Highest paid per year. We did. So if it was a 1-year contract at $15 million, it was a guy who's probably 33 years old, but who's going to get it back.
Yeah. So this week we're going to kind of do something similar, but we're more breaking down the guys that Quentin and I really like in free agency and what they can do, where they can go. So we each picked 7 guys, and then we mutually agreed upon the best free agent in this free agency period. So starting out, we got DJ the Flash Chark Jr. Was this your guy or my guy?
I think this was my guy. I'm very interested by DJ Chark. I mean, the dude runs a 4.3 40. He's 6'4". That doesn't come around often. Just that pure combo right there. Yeah, and he's got good hands. He can go up and get the ball, but he's fragile. That's what's scary about him. Yeah, he hasn't played a full 16 games since 2019 when he put up 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, but he hasn't. Right, the next year he put up 700 yards and 5 touchdowns. Last year he put up 150 yards and 2 touchdowns because he just wasn't healthy. Expect to see Atlanta interested in him. Downfield offense. What's their head coach's name there again? Arthur Smith. This is an Arthur Smith guy. Yeah, this is an Arthur Smith guy. He wants that downfield speed threat with size. Chicago, I expect to go. Yeah, Chicago, I expect to go after him just because they need receivers. They're going to go after all the receivers. And then Philly, this guy would suit what they have there with Devontae Smith very well. Who is it they have? Jalen Reagor? Is that right?
Technically, they have Jalen Reagor.
He hasn't really worked out for him.
He's a whole lot of nothing for him. Yeah, they took him 1 pick before Justin Jefferson. A lot of Philly fans forget that.
I'm sure they do. And then Detroit just desperately needs receivers. They're going to go after all the guys and try to throw a bag at them because they have cap space.
Luckily, Amon-Ra St. Brown looks phenomenal. So they get one more receiver there. You better not sleep on them Lions, boy.
And Chark would work well with St. Brown with his speed.
Oh, yeah.
And then Indy, I mean, you can't rely on T.Y. Hilton until he's 70 years old. You know, I mean, they need someone to kind of take his role.
Pittman's looking damn good here lately, but yeah, they do need that. They do need a true. I mean, if Pittman can be a number one, they still need a true number two. T.Y. Hilton can't stay healthy. Aaron Rodgers is going to need somebody to throw the ball to desperately.
Someone who can hit that deep seam and like can threaten downfield to complement Pittman is what they really need here.
Yeah, I think Chark joining in with Aaron Rodgers and Michael Pittman would be a great fit in Indianapolis.
So, as a Bears fan,
Jonathan
if the Bears got him,
great.
If the Bears got him, I would be excited and terrified at the same time because I just don't know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
I could see it going either way.
Excitement level is definitely there, but at the same time, you're holding your breath every week.
He's only 25 years old. I mean, he's a guy who can, if he can stay healthy, is going to be very good.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he gets paid. This is projecting 3 years, $40 million, $13 a year. I could see him doing a shorter deal, maybe trying to prove it, but at the same time,
trying to get back to free agency at like 27 years old.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what he does. Because if he does sign a long-term deal, it's not going to be the money he could potentially make. But at the same time, if he doesn't and he can't stay healthy, it could be his last opportunity to get paid. So that's always interesting situation for these young guys who've battled injuries early in their career.
All right, well, let's move it on over.
Moving on over.
Moving on up.
The Goon.
The Goon. This is one of the best nicknames we had.
According to Tom Brady, he has the sweatiest asshole in the NFL.
And he wasn't talking about his butt.
Nope.
Ryan Jensen. I love this dude, man. This dude
he is
just finishes
baller.
Guys. He is just – he's fine. I mean, you just don't want to see this guy straight up.
He's one of my favorite players in the league. He's got great hair, which I don't have. He's got a great beard, which I'm working on. But, yeah, Ryan Jensen just demolishes people. If Tampa Bay finds a quarterback, I think they make something work there.
Yeah,
but
the rumors are that he's going back to Tampa. But if not, there are a few teams who are going to be very interested in paying him.
Yeah, so Chicago's big on that list. They definitely need help. I think they'll probably go after a cheaper option and focus more on skill.
Most likely Brian Allen, if he's available. Yeah. But if Brian Allen isn't available, it gets real thin real fast.
Yeah. Could also look to the draft there. But Tennessee's a big one. They already have a pretty good offensive line.
Well, so that Tennessee hangs on Ben Jones. If they don't re-sign Ben Jones, they're going to need to fill the spot. If they bring Ben Jones back, then they won't need him.
Yeah. Carolina, they need a lot of help. I wouldn't go pay it. He's probably going to get the most.
Ryan Jensen ain't going to Carolina.
Yeah, he's probably going to get the most money for a center in the league, and that's just not what Carolina needs.
Well, even if Carolina needs it, what's going to convince Ryan Jensen to go Carolina over Cincinnati, Tennessee, or Tampa? You know,
yeah, unless he just doesn't care about winning and just chases a bag. But I don't know. He was on a really bad, or not really bad, but he went through a lot of ups and downs in Tampa and got a taste of winning. Yeah. And I wouldn't.
Well, so he was in Baltimore before that.
When they were winning?
Yep.
I guess they've always been winning.
Yeah.
Baltimore's never really been down.
Since they moved to Baltimore, they've been winning.
Yeah. I guess I don't remember him in Baltimore. I've always known him.
Neither did I. I mean, that's in research for
I've always known him in Tampa.
When I realized that.
But, yeah. So, did he win a Super Bowl with Joe Flacco?
I think he was there. I'm not 100%, but I think he was.
If he was, I mean, He's 31. If he would have got drafted by Baltimore, it would have been 8 years ago, around
Yeah.
8-9 years ago. So I would have
Yeah.
thought, I would think he would win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Unless he was already gone at that point.
Man, this dude's just a tone setter, man. He gets
He really
your line
is.
in the right mental state. Like he has those guys ready.
He's just one of those guys that
Like
just takes over.
He gives up some sacks and some pressures. He's not the best pass pro guy out there, but he's important to your team and your offensive line. He's that guy. He's the glue guy.
Now he's a glue guy, and that can sometimes be the most important thing about a guy, because if you don't have a glue guy, then you're just all over the place.
No glue.
No glue.
You gotta get the goon to get the glue.
Ryan the glue goon.
All right, who we got next?
Dalton Schultz, corn-fed. I love this guy. I don't know if Dallas will be able to keep him, but we definitely need to keep him. Unfortunately, we paid Blake Jarwin a couple of years ago, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. Dalton Schultz stepped right up and has been phenomenal. He quickly became one of Dak's favorite targets. He's a good route runner. He's good after the catch. He's a great blocker. Tight end it's a hard position to find, and once you find one,
I think it's the hardest position to find, personally.
Yeah, and once you find one, I hate letting him go. I would love to see him stay in Dallas. This is another guy, when we were talking about Cooper earlier, if we lose Cooper but can keep him, and then, like I said, keep one of the other guys on that list, would be big time and make you feel a little bit better about Cooper walking out the door. But some other teams on here, you got the Jets twice, so the Mormon needs all the help he can get. Tennessee would make sense. They lost their tight end to New England last year. That offense struggled a little bit without him. Miami down Tua, loved his tight end in college.
Well, and if they don't bring back Gesicki,
Gesicki's been big in that offense. Wouldn't surprise me, but I would say Dallas is got to be the favorite here.
As long as Dallas can offer him the money, I think he stays. But I think the Jets are going to throw a bag at this guy.
Yeah, they very well could. They definitely need the help. They need help everywhere.
I mean, running that Shanahan-style offense without a tight end is pretty brutal. Without an inline tight end, a guy who can dominate blocking and get out in routes, and that's what Schultz is. I mean, I think he's going to get paid.
They spent money on receivers last year. They have a pretty good core at offensive line. They got some more picks this year to shore it up. They get that offensive line shored up and get a decent tight end in there, and they can keep those receivers healthy. Zach Wilson better be ready, because they could potentially get really good really quick.
Also, thing to think about with a guy like Schultz is he's making $730,000 last year.
Yeah, he hasn't made a whole lot of money.
He's chasing money right now.
Yeah, he was late round pick. Like I said, paid Jarwin over him, which at the time was an obvious decision, but at the same time, maybe you didn't have to pay Jarwin and could have paid him instead. Yeah, if you'd have just waited.
That's how the Cowboys do what they do. They make bets.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry Jones always likes to pay guys early and try to get them on a discount. Jarwin was looking phenomenal up until his injury history. Then Schultz stepped up and became a monster immediately. So, yeah, it's one of those things. Like, what are you going to do? I mean, sometimes when you gamble, you don't win, and I know that very well. So,
all right, let's move it on over. Enough about corn-fed.
Derek Barnett. Okay, this is one of my favorite guys in the draft. I've seen a lot of him, being a Cowboys fan. Want him to get out of the NFC East. I don't care where he goes. Detroit makes a lot of sense. He's one of those guys that would just fit perfectly with biting kneecaps. He's still young. He's very aggressive.
Very
And
aggressive.
yeah, he's just a mauler on that defensive line. He's one of those guys who he's a tone setter.
He's
Kind of
not
like
a guy
Ryan
who's
Jensen.
gonna. He's not a guy who's gonna beat you with speed or finesse moves. He's just a lunch pail and hard hat kind of.
Yeah, he's an old school just defensive lineman, just lunatic. Can't really control him, but you don't have to sometimes. Just let him go out there and play football. He is one of my favorite guys to watch play football, and I hate watching him play football because we play him twice a year. So get him to Kansas City, any of these teams, Atlanta, Seattle, Detroit, Jacksonville, Kansas City, get him out of the NFC East. But yeah, this is one dude that I've loved watching him since he was in college. And I hope the young man gets paid, and I hope he goes to the AFC.
I think you line Barnett up next to a Grady Jarrett in Atlanta or Chris Jones in KC on one side, and just let them wreak that duo would wreak some havoc. I mean, his sack numbers aren't great, but he gets pressures constantly, and he's hitting that quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't get the sack numbers, I mean, sacks aren't everything. When you're disrupting the pocket, whenever you're just causing chaos, which is what he does.
He does get a lot of flags. He does get a lot of flags for late hits, though.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll take it from a defensive lineman as long as.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's making an impact on the game, I'll take.
As long as you're winning.
Yeah, but as long as he's making an impact and not just like getting flags, and not doing anything, it's a little bit different because I mean, you get flags it's so easy for defensive linemen to get flagged these days. Like you might as well make it worth it.
He makes it worth it. I get over Akeem Hicks's flags just fine when he's healthy. So
yeah,
because he's making an impact.
I love Derek Barnett. I would love him on the Cowboys. I just don't think it's financially something that we could do. But yeah, as long as he gets out of the NFC East, I'll be more than happy to see a young man go chase the bag, and would be awesome to see him on a contender.
All right, let's move it on over. Enough of that lame nickname. We got 10
Another
toes.
one, 10 toes, Michael Gallup. Dallas plays on primetime all the time, so I'm sure you know who Michael Gallup is. But I loved him coming out of college. He was one of my favorite receivers in the draft he came out of. We got him in the second round. This dude is a playmaker, one of the most dynamic players on the field anytime he's on the field. Had some injury issues here lately. But talk about a big play guy that comes up in big-time moments. He is incredible.
My favorite wide receiver in that draft, Anthony Miller. My second favorite wide receiver in that draft, Michael Gallup. I'm 1 for 2.
1 for 2. Hey, 50% ain't bad. This is a guy that he can burn you deep. He can make the acrobatic catches. He can run routes. He can catch screens. He absolutely toasted Jalen Ramsey, who is inarguably the best defensive back in the NFL right now. And yeah, he's just all-around playmaker. I would love this. We were saying it earlier.
You know who else has a reputation for toasting Jalen Ramsey? Darnell Mooney.
Oh yeah.
I think Michael Gallup and Darnell Mooney should get a reunion together in Chicago and just talk about toasting Jalen Ramsey all day.
Yeah. So my only hiccup, I guess, with Michael Gallup is I don't know if he can be the one because he has been on such an explosive offense. But his skill set should translate to being the number one guy because, I mean, he doesn't really benefit too much off of coverages based on like some of the plays we've seen him make. He's almost unguardable because the catches he makes and stuff like that. I mean, the coverage can't really get any better. So he should translate, but I don't know.
My general thought there, like say that it was Mooney and Gallup in Chicago, is kind of when you get that much downfield speed together on the field, doesn't matter if they're two number twos or a number one and a number two. That's a lot of speed to deal with, and a good offensive coordinator will make it hell on the defense. Like that's kind of my thought on it. Get a quick guy in the slot, and then you can do whatever you want. Like, who cares if he's not a true number one at that point? Because you have three. I'd rather have three number twos than a true number one and two number threes.
Yeah. So out of everybody that Dallas is potentially cutting / losing in free agency, I think Michael Gallup's the number one guy I want to keep.
If they're cutting those guys, I think Gallup's staying.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, he's unrestricted free agent, so even if they cut him, I mean, he can still walk away and go chase a bag.
And so his injury is a major part. Like his contract projection got cut down from a 3-year deal to a 2-year deal because of his injury.
He might not be ready by week 1.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Kind of goes in the Cowboys' favor here. He knows the offense. He already knows the system.
Yeah,
he's a plug and play guy. So if he did do a 1 or 2 year deal with Dallas,
if you're like the Bears, you want a guy who can start day one with Fields because you feel like you already wasted a year.
Yeah.
And Gallup won't be ready till midseason. That's my hesitation on him.
Yeah, I think he'll be back before then, but I mean, he definitely won't be able to do OTAs, training camp, preseason. I think by week 2 or 3, he should be kind of back on his feet and back to full speed probably by week 4 or 5. But that doesn't help out your young quarterback in Chicago at all.
No. All right, let's see who's next up. What great nickname we got here. Human Highlighter.
Charvarius Ward, another one of my favorite players this past year. He absolutely was on fire around week 4 through 8. Kind of started out the season a little slow and finished it out a little slow, but he has shown flashes of a top NFL corner and ever since the word. And I think he will be an absolute bargain for somebody, whoever gets him.
It's going to be a man-based defense.
Yeah, so
or at least a cover match-based defense, at least.
So my first thought was Pittsburgh, and that's one of the teams on your list. Yeah, I think him going to Pittsburgh would be fantastic. I don't know what Pittsburgh is doing at quarterback. I never know what teams are going to do that don't have a quarterback. Like, never makes sense to me to go out and sign big-name free agents when you don't have a quarterback.
Can I tell you a secret? I know from a lot of experience that they don't know what they're going to do either.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's one thing about the NFL that's always been strange to me is when somebody goes out and pays big money for a free agent and they don't have a quarterback. Like, why? Just save the money. But
because they're just trying to do anything to keep their job. That's trying
to keep their job. But then all of a sudden, like, maybe you get a quarterback somehow, then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, we're in a terrible cap situation because we spent all of our money in free agency. But no, I think he's going to be a big time addition to a contender. I think he goes to a contender for sure.
I think Cincinnati is a real big team to watch here. They like to change up their defensive fronts a lot. They like guys who can play sticky man. That's what Ward does. He's not going to be a top tier cost free agent, which is going to help them in being able to still spend on their O-line. But I mean, it gets Eli Apple off the field for him.
Yeah, and when Charvarius Ward's at his best, he's a top 5 corner. It's just I don't know how often you're getting his best.
San Fran could be a real team to watch here, I think, too. I don't know what their cap space looks like, but
San Fran, I feel like they sign everybody.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it. They're like the Rams with like mid-level free agents. Like somehow they get them all.
It's because they have so many guys who are just like paid nothing who do great. Like they don't pay running backs. They don't pay. They don't pay some of their interior line. You know, they just develop them. They're good at it.
Yeah, they just go get a tight end that can play right tackle if he wanted to, but can also catch like a receiver. So that helps out a ton as well.
Absolutely. Having Shanahan is nice.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's it for Charvarius Ward. Quandre Diggs.
Nino.
I guess we're just going through all mine right now. I love Quandre Diggs. Another Seattle guy here. He's not going back to Seattle. Dallas needs safety help. Dallas has needed safety help for the past 7 years. Every time a safety comes up on free agency, they're linked to Dallas. Dallas never gets them. I hope it changes here. I don't know. Do you pay big money to a safety? I don't know. But I love Diggs here. Having Diggs in the secondary would be digging awesome.
I can dig it.
I could dig it for sure. But yeah, he's a playmaker out there in the defensive back,
dude.
And he's like a
2019
he's not a spark plug guy.
Quandre Diggs 2019 is one of the most ludicrous seasons I've ever seen from a safety stats wise.
Yeah,
he got targeted like 9 times in 12 games.
Yeah, he's
like 55 snaps per target. Like
and he can
once every 55 snaps. That's insane.
And for a little guy, he'll come up and lay a hit. Like he's not scared to come down and play in the box a little bit if he needs to.
And on those like 9 targets, he had 3 interceptions. It's just
it's his closing speed's ridiculous too. Like it's shown that he runs a 4.5. I don't know. Like maybe game speed's just different. Maybe it's ball skills. I don't know what it is.
Different.
But this dude don't look like he runs a 4.5 out there. This dude flies all over the field. Yeah, it's gonna be real interesting to see where he goes. One of my favorite players in the league right now. He is kind of getting up there in age. If he were to go to Dallas, I wouldn't want him at this projected contract. But
he's going to get paid if he wants to be. It's just a question if he wants a ring or if he wants to get paid.
Dan Quinn does fantastic with versatile safeties, and if he wants to pad his stats and put up numbers and build a resume to get paid even more, or build a Hall of Fame resume that he's already kind of started working on, chipping away at, I think him and Dan Quinn's system, he can put up some stupid numbers.
Yeah.
But not at $10 million a year.
Otherwise, we got Baltimore listed here. Philly. I feel like Philly would be the team to pay him if he wants to get paid.
Philly will definitely pay him. Philly is not scared to pay free agents. We know that.
Or Washington. Washington would be another team that would pay him if he wants to get paid. But yeah, KC, I feel like he'd have to go on a vet deal and like
for this. Yeah, for
he'd
this
be ring chasing.
For this much money, they would just keep the Honey Badger.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Washington maybe if they cut Landon Collins, but do you really want to cut an expensive free agent or expensive safety to go sign an expensive free agent safety? Who knows?
Exactly.
All right, Austin Corbett, Baggadonuts. You like this guy, huh?
I do.
It's a great nickname.
You should go Google what he looks like and just think that that's Baggadonuts. It's great.
I was about to say I know the name. I couldn't put a face
He's
to the name.
Every photo, he's just like cheesing, man. Just big old smile. It's hilarious. Looks like Baggadonuts.
It looks exactly like I thought he would.
Yep. This guy's good. This guy's just good at interior line. I mean,
yeah.
I think he's pretty underrated. He's been a solid force in LA since he got there. He was good in Cleveland before that. Part of those monster Cleveland O-lines that, went 0-16 but had monster O-lines.
Yeah. Some of the most wasted O-line talent in NFL history.
But he can play multiple roles inside either side. only given up 5 sacks in the last 3 years. Teams need O-line help. I mean, he might go back to the Rams if they're bringing back Brian Allen. I don't know how they're going to swing it, but I don't know how Les Snead swings anything he does, so who knows?
Yeah, Les Snead doesn't care. He'll make it work. If they want to keep him, they'll make it work somehow. They're just gonna pull the New Orleans Saints whole deal with Drew Brees. They're just gonna do it with the entire team.
Where are we getting Baggadonuts? Where are we getting this information from? As far as
these
the
are all
graphics
projection.
go, yeah. So the projections are from PFF Brad, and he works with Over the Cap, the website, and PFF, the website. Outstanding analyst over there. If you've never checked his stuff out, I highly suggest it. He's very active on Twitter. Really knows what he's talking about with contracts and draft. He puts out articles on PFF. His most recent one was like top 200 free agents, where he projected contracts for the top 200 guys. Very difficult work that he's very good at. And the rest of the information here, like athletic testing, I just pulled from the draft. Scouting, some of that's from the PFF articles that PFF Brad collaborates on with other PFF guys. Some of it's just from my own knowledge of these players. And the stats are from PFF, Pro Football Reference, wherever else. And then the suitors, that was a combination of just searching stuff online. Some of it's from some ESPN articles. Some of it's just from seeing what teams need what in free agency, have what holes. A lot of it's just projection on my part.
Yeah, so we're just all the information that we have available to us, and we're just riffing and just guessing more than anything. But yeah, nothing real solid. Oh
no, I make these graphics, and they will be available on our website, shaving-points.com.
Shaving-points.com, also on Twitter.
Yeah, they'll be put up probably tomorrow, if not tonight. Last week's are up there as well, the top 20 free agents based on AAV. But anyways, back to Baggadonuts. This guy can play either side of guard, interior line. Like I said, he was with Cleveland, the Rams. He's just a good offensive lineman. And
very good.
A lot of teams need offensive line help. People are going to pay him. He'll be able to go to a contender if he wants to, I think, whether it be Cincinnati or...
If he wants to get paid, I think it's New York. I think Daboll wants to build a beefy line up there. He's a guy who can plug and play. He fits that Brian Daboll offense perfectly, I think, with what he can do, his versatility on the offensive line. So that wouldn't surprise me one bit if New York goes out and spends money if they don't go beef up that O-line.
Yeah, the Bengals, too, I think might. I mean, they're going to be paying. They're going to pull out all the stops.
Bengals, yeah. The only thing about the Bengals, I don't know. I mean, they got money.
Yeah, they got cap space. They got a cheap QB right now, cheap number one wide receiver. They have a lot of room to play with. Yeah, and I think the Bears are going to be paying an offensive lineman too, because their new GM is a former offensive lineman, and he's said multiple times that they need to fix that O-line. So I think they're going to be spending on someone as well.
They do something. Got to keep Justin Fields upright somehow.
All right, let's move it on over. We got Devondre Campbell, Chewbacca.
Devondre Campbell, another Green Bay casualty.
Let me tell you a story about Devondre Campbell. I believe he was drafted in like 2016, and he played like 2 years in Atlanta with the Jameis Winston problem. Couldn't see anything.
Yeah.
Went and got LASIK, started to get better. He still moved on to another team. He spent a year in Arizona after that, and then went to Green Bay and just blew up last year. He had an outstanding year last year.
He has one of the coolest names in the NFL too.
He does.
Like if you didn't know who he was, and I was like, yo, Devondre Campbell's coming through. Like, you're like, damn, sounds like a cool dude.
So, true story. Halfway through the season this year, I saw someone mention something about Devondre Campbell. I was like, who? Dude sounds good.
Yeah, sounds like a beast. Kind of like DeBrickashaw Ferguson. You're like, with a name like DeBrickashaw, you got to be good.
Especially as an offensive lineman, DeBrickashaw
Yeah,
is a perfect name.
I don't think there's ever been a better name for an offensive lineman other than maybe like Joe Thomas than DeBrickashaw Ferguson.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he was every bit of a DeBrickashaw, just a monster of a man.
Yeah. So I really like Campbell. He plays downhill.
I like Campbell a lot too.
He's solid in coverage. He's a beast against the run. I mean, he really, the only knock on him from last year is that it was his only year of solid production across the board. And it was the only year in a while he's been like starting and like consistently playing. And I think getting away from Atlanta kind of helped him because those Atlanta defenses are pretty brutal. But he's a guy who I mean, he's 28 years old already. So, I mean, it's a little late to be breaking out. But
search for a linebacker.
I think a cover 2 team like Houston or Chicago would really covet this guy. He has a lot of length, which is what those cover 2 defenses love. Washington is another team that could covet him, but it's also the question. It's the linebacker position, which is getting devalued. So who knows? I mean, it's tough to project.
Yeah, he doesn't really fall into the new hybrid style linebacker.
Yeah,
that can cover everywhere on the field, rush the passer, play the zone and everything. Like you see some of these linebackers coming out now.
Well, that's why I really think he's a good cover
guy.
2 fit as far as a guy who can play that will role.
Yeah, Lovie Smith. I can see Lovie Smith going after him. Houston has the money; they have to spend it somewhere. I think Lovie Smith is David Culley 2.0. Why they fired Culley and hired Lovie Smith when they're like the same person blows my freaking mind. But it's going to be the same thing. They're going to go out and they're going to sign a bunch of veterans. They're going to outperform what they're supposed to do. And then they're going to fire Lovie Smith because he won more games than he should have.
Yeah.
They're just going to keep doing that. They're just going to keep doing that until the public lets them hire Josh McCown.
Yeah.
And this is a perfect Lovie Smith guy. I wouldn't be surprised one bit to see him in Houston.
Yeah. I think Houston might be – I mean, I think Houston, Chicago, and Washington might be the only teams that are going to pay him market. And I don't think Chicago will because they're about to pay Roquan Smith a big bag of money. That's a lot of money to tie up in middle linebacker. Oh, as they should, but I don't think you can tie up that much money in that position, which really just leaves Houston and Washington. And I think Houston might be the one to pull the trigger.
I think this has Houston written all over it. He's not going to be paid outrageous amount, but he's going to be paid well. Houston, like I said, Houston has the money; they have to spend it somewhere, and this is a Lovie Smith guy, in my opinion.
Yeah, and as far as Houston goes, it's a guy who could be a trade chip in a year.
Yep, I mean
that seems to be their model.
Yeah, they just go sign veterans who outperform their contract, and they're like, "Oh, we'll give them to you for a third rounder."
All right, enough on Chewbacca. Let's see who we got coming up. B.J. Hill, Big B. I love this guy. This is one of my favorite free agents.
So I think 303 on the weight is generous.
You think so?
On the light side.
Yeah. That's what I was going to say. I think he's pushing well over 300.
Yeah, this dude is a unit.
Yeah. I like the only knock that there really is on him right now is that he's never been a starter. He's only been a part-time player, which I don't really even think is a knock with how deep you get D-line rotations now. Like, he's been playing close to starter snaps. It's not really a knock. This guy can stuff the run. He can throw in a little pass rush. I don't think he's going to play 3 technique in a even front, but he's a guy who can definitely play the nose in the even front and hit that 1-2 technique very
Hit
well.
that one gap. He's quick. Yeah, I love this guy. Dallas needs help in this spot. Like I said, everything for Dallas depends on what we do with DeMarcus Lawrence, Amari Cooper. Lyle Collins is all but cut, in my opinion, so I think he's gone either way. But Cooper and Lawrence free up a ton of cap space, and this is one of the guys on my radar as a guy we'll go out and sign. We need to beef up that interior defensive line. We need to beef up pass rush and need a little bit of safety help. So, no, he's one of those guys that kind of fit right in there. He's not going to be outrageously expensive for free agency. He's still going to be expensive, but yeah, I love Dallas in this spot if the cap works out.
I also want to throw this comment in there: 13% pass rush win rate in 2020, 12% pass rush win rate in 21. Those are very good numbers for an interior D lineman, like a nose especially. I mean, or a guy who's going to play 1 tech, 2 tech. I mean, this guy was producing, and you give him a few more snaps, I don't think it's going to slow him down. I think he's just going to keep
so
doing
good
what he's
against the
been
run.
doing. Yeah,
so good against the run.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, and then Rams are interesting. Him and Donald on the same line.
You think the Rams could do it?
Les Snead can do anything.
Yeah, fuck them picks.
The cap doesn't exist. Draft picks are irrelevant. They're just out there living in LA, just partying.
I think the Chargers are very interesting team. Like Brandon Staley comes from that Vic Fangio tree. You put this guy in that Akeem Hicks role, I think he could do very well.
The only bad thing about the Chargers is that he'll get hurt.
That's true.
We went over this last week.
Yeah.
Can't stay healthy. Can't stay healthy in LA if you play for the wrong team.
Yeah. Les Snead just got that bad juju on the Chargers.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's push it on over. We got
Jameis, future Hall of Famer.
Famous Jameis. Jaboo.
I love Jameis so much.
I
want him to win all of the Super Bowls. Like, Saints were well on their way this year until he got hurt. He was on pace for like 47 touchdowns and throwing 3,000 yards. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Dude, Jameis is going to be like 35 years old and still be considered a project.
Hey, it only takes one person to turn it around. I don't know where he goes.
He's the new Vinny Testaverde. That's what he's going to be.
Yeah, I have no idea where
Jeff
he goes.
George.
Denver is on this list as expected suitor. I think he would be phenomenal there. I think he'd be great in Indianapolis with a great run game. He needs receivers, though. Indianapolis doesn't have the receivers. Carolina,
I don't know what on earth Carolina's going to do. No one wants to go there.
If he goes to Carolina, he's going to be. If he goes to Carolina next year, he's going to be the heir apparent to Matt Ryan and just clean up the NFC South. Yeah, I don't know. New Orleans makes sense, but like their cap situation is god awful. Michael Thomas may never play football again. I don't know what they do. They're talking about trading Kamara now. Or didn't Kamara like get arrested too? Like he's like at
the Pro Bowl.
He
got arrested. Then they let him play the Pro Bowl before bringing him.
Yeah, and it's pretty serious situation. Like they're talking about like legitimate, like possible jail time
out of a guy.
Yeah, it's like I know you're not out by yourself in Vegas, so like why don't you have friends that beat them up? Why do you have to beat them up?
Like
yeah.
Guys, people are going to talk off to you. Like that guy's probably got problems for talking off to you, but you know what?
Yeah.
Just don't even get involved.
You made that guy's life by beating the shit out of him because, like, not only are you gonna have to pay him a shit ton of money, but like everywhere he goes, he's gonna be like, "Oh yeah, like I got Alvin Kamara fired." or traded or sent to prison, like whatever happens, like he'll have that on you for the rest of your life. But
someone's gonna make Jameis
Jaboo.
their starter.
I can't wait. I'm putting a future on wherever he goes to win the Super Bowl.
He's gonna do it.
Imagine
once.
him and
like he's gonna be like 35 years old.
Imagine
on, like,
him and
his
Tomlin
8th
together.
team and just pull a Rich Gannon.
Imagine him and Tomlin together in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait to see Jameis Winston out there spreading his wings again. He's gonna end up somewhere and he's gonna win a soupy, and it's gonna be amazing.
He's gonna call it a soupy in the press conference after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I hope so. I love Jameis Winston. All right. You know who I love even more than Jameis Winston? The greatest of all time.
Oh, I know.
Mitchell Trubisky, Mr. Titty Kisser himself, driving his mom's minivan. Everybody that saw him in Buffalo raves about how freaking good he is. He is quoted by teammates saying, like, he was so confused in Nagy's offense that he didn't even know if he could play football at the professional level. And then apparently he gets into Daboll's system in Buffalo and he goes, oh, this is a lot easier. Like, I understand this. I can do this. And then he plays in one preseason game, lights up the Bears, comes in for the Buffalo Bills to secure them a spot in the playoffs.
Oh, by the way, the stats here are staggered. So it's 2020, 2019, 2018. I just didn't put his 21 stats because he threw like 6 passes.
Yeah. But Mitchell Trubisky, I think, is the absolute number one free agent on the market this year.
He's a Pro Bowler.
He is a Pro Bowler. A lot of people forget he actually went before Watson and Mahomes in that draft. And like, it never gets talked about. Like, that's how good he is, though. He was drafted before them.
Oh God, we should have prepped for this show. That Sunday Night Football graphic that got thrown in my face for years.
Yeah, but I mean, it's true though. Like, he wouldn't have been drafted there if he wasn't better than them, and obviously, he's the GOAT in waiting, and
he's gonna get a chance somewhere. There's enough doubt. There's enough doubt in the league at this point. There's enough doubt in the league at this point about what Nagy was doing that someone who liked him in that draft is gonna give him a shot.
I think not only paid with that, but just what has came out of just him at practice, him on the field, in Buffalo. I've heard nothing but like great things about this guy's a starter. Like, this guy is
well, and I think the thing you do have to be a little bit careful about that is Trubisky is a very good teammate. No one has ever questioned that. Guys love him. People are going to talk great about him no matter what. Like, he's a very good teammate. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean, he's a guy who can start in this league. I just don't know if he's a guy who can stay a starter in this league. I think he still has to prove that.
So out of these teams, New Orleans, is same as the Jameis scenario. It doesn't matter. I don't know what they're doing. Dennis Allen has his work cut out for him, that's for sure. Washington football team, no. New York makes a lot of sense. Pittsburgh makes a lot of sense, and Indianapolis, all three make a lot of sense. I think Indianapolis is the best system for him. If they can get another receiver in there, good O-line, agreed. Good running game. Michael Pittman is a guy who can catch you 85 to 110 balls a season. They get one other receiver in there. I think
Trubisky's best chance to try to pull his career back up
in a dome
from the gallows is Indy by far.
They play in a dome. They play in a weak, very weak division. He can walk in there and win that division with pretty much ease. I mean, it's you in Tennessee. Jacksonville is a dumpster fire that just got put out with a fire extinguisher that's still kind of simmering a little bit. And then Houston, I think Houston's just losing until they can like I said earlier, they're just trying to lose as much as they can until like the public accepts them like hiring Josh McCown.
Yep.
Like that's all they want to do is like that's all they care about.
You think about what Bitch is good at. You want a strong run game so you can run plenty of PA off it. Indy's got it.
Pass.
You want a downfield possession receiver because his downfield accuracy is not great. Michael Pittman can do that. And then the rest of it, you want timing routes on the short game. I mean, you don't need outstanding receivers for that.
No.
You can scheme that up, and that's that like get Mitch off platform out of the pocket.
And Nyheim Hines is a great receiving back as well, which he was always good with.
Yeah. I think Indy makes a lot of sense for him.
Justin
Reid,
another safety.
Tarzan.
Very good.
So,
I loved him his rookie year. I loved him coming out in the draft.
I think he could be a steal at this price.
Absolutely.
And I mean, some people are more down on him. I admittedly, I haven't watched a ton of the Texans.
He was great when he was.
But
his first couple years were phenomenal. I honestly haven't watched a whole lot of him lately either. But yeah, he's got that perfect size that you want and like a good, solid safety. I mean, he's long.
He's exactly
fast.
what you want. He's strong. He put up 16 reps of bench at the combine. He broad jumped 128, which is a ridiculous number. 6'1". He's got plenty of length, plenty of size. He's rangy. I mean, he's not going to come down in the box downhill heavy, but that's not his game either. And whoever signs him, that's not what they're going to ask him to do.
Yeah, he's well spoken. He's a pro's pro, as they say. Every time I've ever heard him in an interview or anything, it sounds like he's one of those guys who like talks the talk and walks the walk kind of deal. Just a very good teammate. It seems like he's not going to stay in Houston. Another safety that Dallas desperately needs. We need to figure out something there. So I would love to see him take the leap here. I'd like him probably better than Diggs if the money
at
is
his
the same.
price, his age,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, if the projected prices are what they are, I'll take him for $7 million over Diggs for 10. Absolutely, 100 times out of 100. So, no, he's the perfect fit for really any defense, plug and play type guy. Can do it.
He's
all.
another guy who I think is a really good fit in a cover 2 scheme because then you get the 2 high, both roaming safeties who are just reading the quarterback's eyes. And I mean, big part of the cover 2 is that your corners are pressed up and pushing the receivers inside, so your safeties are really being funneled into where the ball is going. Like that's a dream for a guy like Reid.
Absolutely, and he'll come up and make a hit too. Like he's been one of my favorite like young guys like here these past couple of years. So I'm excited to see where he goes next and get out of Houston because that place is hell right now.
Yeah. All right. I think we got 2 more for y'all here. So let's get this next one.
Cordarrelle, the experiment Patterson.
That nickname was Bill Belichick's nickname for him, and I thought that was incredible.
Yeah. So on expected suitors, you might as well just put all 32 teams in the NFL. This dude can walk into any locker room right now in the league,
dude. But imagine him
get the ball 12 times a game.
Just imagine him with Kyle Shanahan, though. Just think of
him and Debo on the same team.
Yes.
They would cut everybody else. It would be him. It'd be him, Debo, Brandon, or him, Debo, Ayuk, and
Trey Lance. Speed.
And then they're tied at Kittle. That's all they need. Cut everybody else. But yeah, Cordarrelle, like he just do it. Like I don't really know how to explain this other than just put him on the field and get him the ball.
Dude, just look at his stats. Look at the last 3 years of stats. Look what happens when you put him on the field and give him the ball.
Yeah, 205 touches, 1,100 yards, 5.7 yards a touch. So that's receiving and rushing.
He scored a
11
touchdown every 20 touches.
Yeah. I mean, he
And the
played
year
running back.
before, he had half the touches and like a third of the yards because they didn't put him out the field and give him the ball.
Yeah. I mean, he played running back in Atlanta this past year. Atlanta's O-line was horrendous, and this dude made them look good. Mike Davis averaged like 1.3 yards a carry. I think he was averaging like at one point like 5.9 yards a carry. Absolutely insane. He do it all. He can return kicks. He can return punts.
6-time All-Pro kick returner.
He
can't return punts though. He cannot.
Oh yeah, we talked about this.
But one thing that people don't realize about him, though, he is an all-pro special teams gunner.
Yeah.
He gets after it as a gunner. It is beautiful to watch. Like,
yeah,
it is just beautiful. I've never seen someone play a position better than him.
Yeah, Bill Belichick was talking about him, I think, on the NFL Top 100 last year, or at one point, and Bill Belichick like raves over him.
Yeah.
And anytime Bill Belichick raves over a guy, you know he's a football guy's guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, wherever he goes, keep an eye on it. Keep an eye on for fantasy. Take a late swing at him because more than likely he's going to be good for you.
Absolutely. All right. So this last guy is one of my favorites, and he's more under the radar. Cedrick Wilson Jr. I pray that the Cowboys do not re-sign him because I want him in a Bears uniform.
Yeah, so we've been talking about it all night. We don't know what the Cowboys are going to do. He's another one that I would love to keep, but he's a do-it-all type guy. He runs the jet sweep. He runs the screens. He runs the
He's
slant.
mainly slot, but yeah, he can do it all from that standpoint. Absolutely, he can run deep routes, intermediate routes, short routes. He can do toss backs and what you need.
The only downside to him is I don't know if it's a him problem or a Dak problem, but it seemed like every time there was an option route with him, they weren't on the same page. And it happened consistently throughout the year. And I don't know. You don't never know who that falls on, really, but there was a bunch of times where Dak would throw it out and he would cut up, or Dak would throw it up and he would cut out, just different things like that. But, I mean, he was young and wasn't getting but 7 snaps a game most of the year until we had some injuries and he started getting more touches. So,
yeah,
could have just been miscommunication. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons, but this dude got everything in his bag of tricks. He can pass it.
Did he play quarterback in college?
He threw, I think, 3 passes for us this year, and they were all very accurate.
I felt for some reason like he played QB in college. Some I could be off on that though.
Yeah, he's just one of those guys, just pure athlete, can do everything you want on the field. He can return kicks. I think he did a little bit of punt returning too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to keep Cedrick Wilson, but I think out of everybody we've talked about tonight, he's most likely the least likely to stay in Dallas, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of him.
He would fit great in Chicago, fit great with the Rams, losing OBJ. I think they're losing Robert Woods as well. He would fill in perfectly.
Okay. You know, he played high school quarterback, not college. Okay. So I love receivers who have quarterback in their history just because they have an idea of what to do to help a quarterback. Like one thing I always notice this year when I see Wilson do something, before he hits the top of his route, he gets his body turned towards the quarterback. His numbers are clear to the quarterback, and he creates a clear throwing lane to himself. Like, I am here, eyes on the quarterback. Like, it's something that's I think is understated at the wide receiver position, but very important. He creates that connection as the throw's coming out.
In a 17-game season, he was the 4th option 9 out of those 17 games. And so most of the year he was a fourth option, and then we had some injuries, and he was playing the 3 and sometimes even the 2. Still got 71 targets and 50 catches.
Yep. I really like this guy. I really like this guy.
So 6 touchdowns. I mean, he can do it all, man. And he's
not as fast as he is quick, but he's quick.
Yeah, and he's
like
smart
I hate
with the
that
ball.
term because the guys you're talking about, it's like they're always quick. You know, it's like they're different, but they're not. You know,
yeah, he's smart with the ball. He has good football IQ. He has good awareness on the field. So, I think wherever he goes, he's going to make an immediate impact. And his best role is being like a true like number 3 receiver, like playing the slot. So. I think if he went to the Rams and chased a ring, he would fit in that offense so perfectly. Chicago, he would be great for Justin Fields' development. Kansas City, you can plug and play anybody in Kansas City, I feel like, and they'll be all right. But yeah, Cedrick Wilson, definitely a guy to keep your eye on, especially another one of those guys fantasy-wise. If you're in a dynasty league or starting a dynasty league this year, I feel like he's a guy you can get really, really late, and he'll stick around for. Yeah. It would be like Randall Cobb. He'll be around in 7 years, still catching.
Still 40, only 25 years old.
Yeah, he'll be around until he's 32, catching 40 to 50 balls a year with 5 or 6 touchdowns. I mean, so he's one of those guys. Buy stock in now, and you'll probably be just fine for a while.
All right. Well, I think that does it for us. We ran a little long here, but we appreciate all you listeners getting this far.
Yeah.
We had a good time.
Let's get ready for some March Madness, boys. We'll start covering a little bit of draft talk here soon, a little bit more college basketball. We'll have a little bit of everything for you guys. So stay tuned and let us know if there's anything you would like to hear us talk about, because we're going to have
hit us up on Twitter, Reddit, Instagram, wherever you want. Let us know if there's something you want to hear.
Anything you want to hear, we'll do some research and talk about it. So appreciate you all for listening. Come let us know what you think. Interact with the boys on all the socials. Follow our picks and have a great time. But most of all, don't sleep on the Lions.